TV. What's up?
What's going on there, King? Guys, hey, JP, welcome to the show, my friend. I just want to say thank you for the shout out. Also, I want to say that picture of you with Mahomes and with Kelsey, that was Photoshopped. That was green screen. I don't believe it. With those assignments that you've had, there's no way that you've done a snow assignment. I don't believe it at all, my friend. Either way, awesome to have you on. Awesome to have you on. I hope you're having fun because there's a lot more of the show to get to, a lot of headlines to get to, Kay, as you mentioned, heading into this draft. Speaking of where Jimmy Palmtrees is based in Denver, there was a lot of expectations that perhaps the team would go and get a quarterback with the 9th overall pick, but instead they went defense and went with Patrick Surtain, the second out of Alabama, which was a good choice considering the passers he'd have to face in the division. Well, Tuesday, Surtain agreed to terms on his rookie contract with Denver. The Broncos hoping he'll team with free agent pickup Kyle Fuller to improve Denver's secondary that ranked 16th in passing yards allowed last season. Surtain will be tested early and often, having to face the likes of Patrick Mahomes, Derek Carr, and Justin Herbert twice a year. Now, speaking of the Broncos, on the offensive side of the ball, wide receiver Courtland Sutton back on the practice field as he recovers from a torn ACL suffered in week 1 last season. He tells the team's website he's feeling really good and the game plan is to be full go when training camp begins. Well, 49ers defensive end Nick Bosa also returning from a season-ending ACL injury suffered in week 2. Head coach Kyle Shanahan was recently a guest on the Michael Irvin podcast and talked about what the return of 2019 Defensive Rookie of the Year Nick Bosa means to the San Francisco defense.
When you have a guy at that level and there's not a ton of them, it changes who you are. It's, not comparing these guys, but the type of level guys are like, if the Rams don't have Aaron Donald, that's going to be different. If Denver loses Von Miller, it's going to be different. There's just guys on the D-line that there's a few that are different. How J.J. Watt was in Houston, it changes everything. And when you can get good players around people like that and you can have a good scheme, it's tough to mess with because there's not people in the league that can block those guys.
Shanahan's spitting facts when you look at the impact that Bosa had on that defense in 2019, racking up 9 sacks. And hopefully he will be back healthy and ready to go to face the likes of Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson. And now, Kay and guys, of course, Matthew Stafford in Los Angeles.
They are a fascinating team. Your team, your home team, Will Selva, you know them very well. Super Bowl 2 seasons ago, then they finished dead last in the NFC West in 2020. How about 2021? Thank you so much. We'll talk to you and check in with you in a bit. Peter, how different do you see this Niners team being this year?
They were so riddled with injuries last year, Kay. So the big shiny object is this Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo conversation. But the other part of it is, guys like Bosa that are going to be coming back. Guys like Jason Verrett's who's going to be healthy 100%. And then you still have Fred Warner and the rest of the guys. So 2 years ago, they went to the Super Bowl. They were lost everyone to injury, and they spent the entire month of December living in a hotel room in Arizona away from their families. And they still finished the season pretty well and pretty strong and beat the Cardinals in a big game. I think they're going to be a contender for the Super Bowl. I think they're going to be NFC contenders. Wow. I really do. I think the NFC is wide open, and I think this team is really good. And you got a guy like Fred Warner, man, in the middle, and a guy like George Kittle at tight end. There's not going to be many games they're going to be blown out in. I like the Niners this year, and I like them a lot.
Yeah, Shregs, Kittle only played 8 games last year. D Ford played 1 game. If you have D Ford and Nick Bosa, that is a very, very healthy and dominant pass rush. But what jumps out at me is their schedule, if you look at it from a couple angles, is much, much easier than it was a year ago. You mentioned all the injuries and then the turnover differential. Only the Broncos had a worse turnover differential this past season. They had, I believe, 14 fumbles. I just don't see the ball bouncing wrong for them as badly as it did this past year. Sometimes those things even themselves out with an easier schedule. I think it does put them back in contention, Sean.
Yeah, no doubt. The injury list is long, and since you guys already referenced it, let's just bring it up and let's show everybody in case they forgot how many starters missed games. Here it is. Look, Jimmy G, look, Debo, offensively, Raheem Mostert, Kittle, you already mentioned him, JP. How about Trent Williams missed a couple? Defensively, that's where it really stung. Sherman missed 11 games, but D Ford and Nick Bosa almost the entire season. So that pass rush was, they basically lost with those two guys off the field. So they're going to be a better team, no doubt about it. I think the quiet signing is bringing Alex Mack back. Kyle Shanahan was with him in Atlanta. I think they were together in Cleveland as well. Bringing Alex Mack to solidify the interior of that offensive line. Weston Richburg's been banged up and just couldn't stay on the field. So that's going to pay dividends for that entire offense, whether it's Jimmy G or whether it's Trey Lance playing quarterback.
And I don't want to overlook what James Palmer said about the strength of schedule. I think it's going to come down to that maybe. I think it's a significant advantage. The Niners do the 19th toughest strength of schedule. Every other team in the NFC West are top 10, top 15 strengths of schedule. So, for example, the Rams, they have to go ahead and take on the Super Bowl champion Buccaneers. They have to face the Baltimore Ravens this season because they finished second in the division last year. Well, the Niners, in their place, I'm very verklempt about this whole schedule thing, Falcons and the Bengals. So we know it's going to be a super close division race. It pretty much always is. It's a gauntlet. Those couple of games could actually make a huge difference. I like that you brought that up, James. More Good Morning Football on the way, guys.